The bus jolts hard to the left, rattling my teeth. I grab the cold metal pole beside me, hugging my duffel bag tighter to my chest. The smell of diesel and stale coffee mixes with the crisp mountain air sneaking through the cracked window. The driver doesn't apologize. He probably doesn't even notice. Out here, there's only one road, and it's full of potholes big enough to swallow a small dog hole. Through the foggy glass, the landscape blurs by. Trees, endless, dark pines stretching so high they block out most of the sky. It feels like they're closing in, swallowing the road, swallowing me. I can't help but think, this is a bad idea. I've told myself 100 times that I'm just here to clean out my grandmother's old cabin, pack up a lifetime of dusty antiques and chipped dishes, and maybe fix a leaky roof or two before deciding whether to sell it. That's it. At least, that's the story I've been repeating to everyone, including myself. The truth is messier. It always is. I glance at my reflection in the scratched window. My hair's a wild mess from the wind, my eyes shadowed from lack of sleep. I look exactly like someone running away, which I guess I am. Leaving the city was supposed to be temporary, just a break. Space to breathe, space to forget. But now, with every mile this bus eats up, I'm starting to wonder if I'm running to something or running from everything. My stomach twists as we pass the rusted "Welcome to Blackridge" sign, the paint peeling like old scabs. The second I see it, memories I've tried to bury claw their way back up. My uncle's laugh. The smell of pine and campfire smoke. The way my mom used to slam the phone down when Blackridge came up in conversation. He disappeared here, in these woods. I was 12. He promised to take me hunting when I was old enough, and the day before his last trip, he bent down, hugged me tight, and said,
"Next time, kiddo. Pinky swear."
Next time never came. They never found a body. Just his truck abandoned on an old logging road, the door hanging open like he'd stepped out and vanished into thin air. I'd overheard my parents whispering in the kitchen afterward, their voices sharp and scared.
It was Vale's territory.
Don't you dare say his name where she can hear you.
I didn't understand what it meant back then. I only knew two things. My uncle was gone, and my parents would rather burn the whole town down than set foot here again. So naturally, here I am. Because apparently, I have fantastic decision-making skills. The bus lurches to a stop at a lonely gas station that doubles as the town's bus depot. It's nothing more than a faded building with a single flickering light out front and a bench that's seen better days.
End of the line.
The driver grunts, jerking his thumb toward the door. I sling my duffel bag over my shoulder and step into the chilly evening air. The forest smell is overwhelming, earthy, damp, and wild. I shiver and try to shake off the creeping unease curling in my gut. There's no one waiting for me. Not that I expected a welcoming committee. My parents didn't even want me to come, and my grandmother's gone. It's just me, a backpack full of memories and a whole lot of bad ideas. A black SUV idles at the edge of the lot. Its windows are tinted so dark I can't see the driver. It doesn't move, doesn't leave, just sits there. I freeze, my pulse spiking. The door opens and a man steps out, tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in black from head to toe. His presence is like a punch to the chest, powerful, commanding, terrifying. Even before he speaks, I know who he is. Darius Vale. The name feels like a ghost from my childhood. Whispered warnings come to life. My breath catches, and for a second, I'm 12 years old again, hiding under the kitchen table, listening to my parents fight about the Alpha and his land. Only now, he's standing 10 feet away, his eyes locked on me like he already knows every secret I've ever kept. I take an involuntary step back. My boot heel catches on a loose chunk of pavement, and I nearly stumble. Great first impression, Aria, real smooth. The man doesn't move closer. He doesn't have to. His presence is like gravity pulling everything and everyone toward him whether they want it or not. His eyes are sharp, too sharp, a color that looks dark in the fading light but glimmers like molten gold when he shifts his head.
"You shouldn't be here,"
he says, His voice is deep, low, carrying over the quiet lot like a quiet command. The hairs on the back of my neck stand straight up. I swallow hard. Excuse me. He doesn't repeat himself. He just studies me in that unnerving, predatory way, like he's cataloging every piece of me. My duffel bag, my worn boots, the nervous way I'm clutching the strap. I'm here to visit my grandmother's cabin, I blurt out, my voice wobbling slightly. She passed a few months ago. I just need to go through her things. Something flickers across his face at the word grandmother. It's so quick I almost miss it, but it's there. A tightening of his jaw, a subtle darkening of his gaze.
That place isn't safe.
His tone is final, like he's delivering a fact rather than an opinion. Unsafe how? I challenge, because I can't help myself. I hate when people tell me what I can or can't do, especially strangers with bossy vibes and cryptic warnings. He doesn't answer right away. Instead, he takes a slow step toward me. My breath catches in my throat, and for some stupid reason, I don't back up this time.
The woods are dangerous.
He says finally, his voice quieter now, almost a rumble.
People get lost out there.
Lost. The word slams into me like a fist to the chest. My uncle's face flashes in my mind, his easy grin, the promise he never kept. My mouth goes dry. I'll be careful. He tilts his head slightly, as if he can hear the lie in my voice.
Careful doesn't matter. You don't belong here.
There's something about the way he says belong that makes my stomach twist. Look, I say, trying to keep my voice steady. I appreciate the concern, but I'm not staying long. Just a few days. I'll keep to myself. His gaze sharpens, and suddenly I get the feeling that keeping to myself isn't really an option around here.
You should turn around and go back.
He says, softer now but somehow more dangerous.
Before it's too late.
The words hang in the air between us, heavy and final. I force a shaky laugh, because if I don't laugh, I might scream. Yeah, thanks for the ominous warning, but I've come this far. I'm not just going to pack up and leave before I even unlock the door. His jaw ticks, like he's fighting the urge to argue, or maybe to grab me and physically haul me back onto the bus. Instead, he exhales slowly through his nose and takes another step back.
At least don't walk alone at night.
He says, his voice low but sharp.
Promise me.
My heartbeat thunders in my ears. The intensity in his tone is enough to make me nod, even though I don't want to give him that satisfaction. Fine, I mutter. Something eases in his posture, but only slightly. Then, just like that, he turns and walks back to his SUV. The movement is smooth, controlled, like a predator returning to the shadows. The door shuts with a quiet thud, and before I can even think of something clever or stupid, to yell after him, the vehicle's headlights flare to life. As he pulls away, I catch one last glimpse of him in the driver's seat, his profile carved in sharp lines, his gaze fixed straight ahead like he's already planning something. The SUV disappears down the dark road, leaving me alone with the echo of his warning and the heavy silence of the forest pressing in around me. For a long moment, I just stand there, shivering, clutching my duffel bag like a shield. You don't belong here. The words replay in my head, mixing with the memory of my parents' voices, the ones that used to whisper the same thing when they thought I wasn't listening. Maybe they were right. Maybe I should have stayed far, far away. But then I think of my grandmother's cabin, the place where I spent summer afternoons chasing fireflies and nights curled up by the fireplace while my uncle told ghost stories. And I think of my uncle himself, his easy smile, the way he vanished without a trace. If Darius Vale knows something about what happened to him, then leaving now isn't an option. I square my shoulders, forcing my shaky legs to move. This is my family's land, I remind myself silently. And I'm not going anywhere, not until I get answers. I head toward the narrow dirt road that leads deeper into the woods, the weight of the darkness closing in with every step. I don't see the shadow moving between the trees, keeping pace with me, silent and watchful. Not yet. The front door creaked when I pushed it open, the sound sharp and lonely in the quiet night. I froze for a second, my hand still on the old brass handle, letting the smell of the cabin wash over me. It smelled exactly like I remembered from childhood: aged wood, dried herbs, and something faintly sweet, like lavender that had been sitting in a jar too long. "Grandma!" My voice barely rose above a whisper, like part of me expected her to answer even though I knew she wouldn't. The air felt thick inside, heavy with the kind of silence that comes after too many years of absence. I stepped in slowly, my boots pressing against the worn wooden floor, each step sounding way too loud in the emptiness. The living room opened up before me, small and cluttered with old knickknacks. A rocking chair sat by the window, still angled like someone had just gotten up. The Afghan draped over it sagged and dusty, but God, it made my chest hurt. That blanket used to be my favorite place to curl up when I was little. I set my duffel bag down beside the couch and looked around, biting my lip. "All right, Aria," I muttered under my breath, trying to shake the creeping unease. "Just you and a very old, very creaky house. Totally fine. Totally not about to star in a horror movie." My attempt at humor fell flat in the stillness. I flicked on the old lamp by the couch. The bulb blinked 3 times before finally staying lit, casting a dim yellow glow across the room. Dust motes floated in the light, swirling like tiny ghosts. I exhaled slowly and started to explore, moving toward the far corner where Grandma's wooden cabinet stood. It had been here for as long as I could remember, crammed full of old family photos, recipe cards, and what she used to call
bits of the past.
The cabinet door groaned when I opened it. Inside were stacks of photographs, all bent and faded at the edges. I sifted through them carefully, smiling faintly when I saw one of myself as a toddler with Grandma's arms wrapped tightly around me. But then I froze. My fingers brushed over a photo that didn't belong. In it, Grandma stood beside a tall, broad-shouldered man with intense dark eyes and a jaw that could probably cut glass. I didn't recognize him, but it wasn't him that stopped my breath. It was the little boy standing in front of them. He couldn't have been more than 8 or 9, with dark hair falling into his serious eyes. His small hand clutched Grandma's skirt like he felt safe there, like she was family. The back of my neck prickled. Slowly, I flipped the photo over, half expecting nothing. But there, scrawled in Grandma's neat, looping handwriting, was a single word. "Darius." My heart thudded so hard I felt it in my ears. No way. Darius Vale, the same Darius everyone in this eerie little town seemed to tiptoe around. The same man my uncle used to warn me about in hushed tones. And here he was in my grandmother's photo album, as a child, with her. "What the hell, Grandma?" I whispered, my voice shaky. My pulse was racing now, my palms damp. Questions slammed into me all at once. Why had she never mentioned him? Why was his name here, of all places, in our family's stuff? And why did my chest feel tight, like this discovery wasn't just strange, it was dangerous? A sound outside made me whip my head toward the window. At first I thought it was the wind, but then it came again, louder, unmistakable. A long, haunting wolf howl. It wasn't distant. It wasn't out in the far hills like you'd expect. It was right outside the house. My breath caught. The window rattled slightly in its frame, as if the very force of the sound had shaken it. "Nope," I whispered, stumbling back from the window. "Nope, nope, nope." I forced myself to peer through the thin lace curtains, my heartbeat thundering in my throat. The yard was bathed in pale silver moonlight. The trees swayed in the night breeze, their shadows long and spindly. For a moment, I didn't see anything, just dark branches and tall grass. Then movement. A dark shape slipped between the trees at the edge of the clearing. Too tall, too fluid to be a regular animal. I sucked in a sharp breath, my hand flying to my mouth. It paused. I swear to God, it paused, like it knew I was watching. The shape didn't run, didn't hide. It just stood there, a silhouette with shoulders far too high and wide to be a regular wolf. And then, as the clouds shifted and moonlight caught its form, I saw the gleam of two unnaturally bright, glowing eyes. My heart stuttered in pure terror. The thing turned its head slightly, and for one breathless moment, it felt like those eyes were locked directly on mine. "Holy crap," I gasped, stumbling backward so fast I nearly tripped over the edge of the rug. The photograph slipped from my fingers, fluttering to the floor face down. I scrambled to the cabinet, yanked the door shut, and backed up toward the couch, my entire body trembling. The howl came again, louder this time, closer. I didn't know what was out there. I didn't know what connection my grandmother had to Darius Vale. And I didn't know if either of those things was about to come crashing through my front door. But one thing was certain. Whatever danger I'd walked into, it wasn't lurking in the shadows anymore. It was right outside my window. I didn't sleep. Not even for a minute. All night, I lay curled beneath the quilt that still smelled faintly of my grandmother's lavender sachets, my eyes wide open and fixed on the cabin's dark, wooden ceiling. Every creak of the old boards made my heart jump. Every gust of wind against the windows made me flinch. But it wasn't just the usual sounds of an old house settling in the woods that kept me awake. It was that howl. Deep, primal, and far too close, like something wild was standing right outside my window, screaming at the moon. And that shadow, the one I saw moving just beyond the glass. I'd pulled the quilt over my head like a kid hiding from the boogeyman, clutching it so tightly my hands ached. But even then, I could feel the weight of whatever was out there, watching, waiting. When dawn finally broke, pale sunlight slipping through the dusty curtains, I practically leapt out of bed. Staying inside this cabin alone any longer felt impossible. I needed air, people, noise, anything that wasn't this suffocating silence and the memory of those glowing eyes in the dark. I threw on jeans, a flannel shirt, and my old boots, then splashed cold water on my face at the tiny bathroom sink. The reflection staring back at me looked like hell, dark circles, pale skin, hair sticking up like a bird's nest. Great, just the look for meeting the locals. I shoved my hands into my pockets, took a deep breath, and stepped outside. The morning was crisp and bright, the kind of sharp mountain air that almost stings when you breathe it in. Mist clung low to the ground, curling between the trees like ghostly fingers. The forest loomed in every direction, its pines tall and dark and silent. Too silent. I forced myself to walk quickly down the narrow dirt path toward the main road, telling myself the faster I got into town, the better. Blackridge was exactly how I remembered it, and nothing like I remembered it all at once. The streets were mostly empty, except for a couple of old men sweeping their porches and a woman unlocking the door to a small bakery. Most of the buildings were weathered wood and faded paint, like the whole town had been frozen in time 20 years ago. As I passed, people glanced at me, some curious, some wary, but no one smiled, no one waved. They just stared for a second too long before looking away, like they'd been caught doing something forbidden. Weird. I tried to ignore the tight knot of unease building in my stomach and headed toward the general store. My grandmother used to bring me here when I was a kid for candy and soda, and I figured it was a good place to grab some basic supplies. The bell over the door jingled when I stepped inside, and for the first time since arriving, I felt a sliver of normalcy. Wooden shelves lined with canned goods, a cooler humming softly, the faint smell of coffee brewing somewhere in the back. A man stood behind the counter, mid-30s maybe, with sandy blonde hair and kind hazel eyes. He straightened when he saw me, a polite smile easing onto his face.
"Well now, you must be new in town,"
he said, voice warm and welcoming in a way that immediately made me like him. Yeah. I hesitated, then added, "I'm Aria. My grandmother, she lived out near the East Woods, the old cabin." Something flickered in his expression, recognition, maybe, or surprise, but it vanished almost instantly.
"Ah, you must be Margaret's granddaughter,"
he said, his smile tightening just slightly. "I'm Elia's Kane." Kane. That name tugged at some distant memory, but I couldn't place it. "Nice to meet you," I said, offering a small, relieved smile. It's been a while since I've been back. Elias nodded.
Margaret was a good woman. Everyone around here thought highly of her.
His tone was sincere, and for a moment, some of my tension eased. We chatted as I grabbed a few things: bread, bottled water, coffee, normal, boring stuff. But the whole time, I couldn't shake the sense that Elias was watching me. Not in a creepy way, exactly. More like he was taking my measure. When I mentioned Darius Vale, though, everything shifted.
Darius.
He repeated, carefully neutral, too neutral. Yeah, I said slowly. I ran into him last night, literally at the bus stop. Elias' polite mask didn't slip, but his jaw ticked ever so slightly.
He has a way of being everywhere.
That's one word for it, I muttered. He basically told me I shouldn't be here, that it's dangerous. Silence. Elias didn't confirm, didn't deny. Just stared at me for a beat too long before finally saying,
He takes his responsibilities seriously. Sometimes that comes across strongly.
It wasn't an answer, not really. Before I could press further, another customer walked in, and Elias smoothly excused himself to help them. Message received. Topic closed. The rest of the day went like that. Everywhere I went, the tiny diner, the hardware store, even the library, people were polite but distant. And the second I even hinted at asking about Darius, walls slammed down. It was like the whole town was living under some unspoken rule. Don't talk about the Alpha. But I did hear one other name, whispered, half fearful, half angry. Magnus Blackthorn. I didn't know who he was, but the way people said his name, it sent a chill down my spine. I caught fragments: border trouble, challenging the Vale pack, blood moons coming. None of it made sense, but it all left me with the same impression. Whoever Magnus was, he was bad news. By the time evening fell, my head was spinning. The streets were even emptier now, the last of the daylight fading into deep, purplish shadows. I started back toward my cabin, clutching my grocery bag and trying not to think about how isolated the woods were at night. That's when a voice drawled behind me, smooth and amused.
Well, well, if it isn't our newest little town mystery.
I spun around so fast my groceries almost spilled. A man leaned casually against a lamppost, arms crossed. He was tall and lean, with dark hair that fell into his eyes and a smile that was just a little too charming to be trustworthy. Hi, I said, instantly on guard. He pushed off the lamppost and sauntered closer, moving with a lazy grace that felt oddly predatory.
Rowan Draven.
He said, offering a hand.
And you must be Aria.
I hesitated before shaking it. His grip was warm, too warm. You've heard of me? I asked, trying to sound casual. Rowan's smile widened.
Small town, word travels fast.
His gaze swept over me, sharp and assessing.
Especially when someone catches Darius's attention.
Something in his tone set my teeth on edge. We just met briefly, that's all. He hummed, clearly unconvinced. Then, leaning slightly closer, he added in a low, conspiratorial voice.
Careful with him, sweetheart. Darius has a habit of destroying everything he touches.
My pulse spiked. What's that supposed to mean? Rowan's expression was all innocence.
Just a friendly warning.
I didn't buy it for a second. Thanks, I said flatly, sidestepping him, but I can take care of myself. As I hurried down the path toward my cabin, the hairs on the back of my neck prickled. Something about Rowan felt wrong, like his charm was a mask hiding something darker. I was so focused on shaking off the encounter that at first, I didn't notice the silence. No crickets, no wind, nothing. Then a low growl. I froze. Ahead, in the middle of the narrow dirt path, stood a massive wolf. Bigger than any wolf I'd ever seen, its fur a deep, shadowy gray that seemed to swallow the last traces of light. Its eyes glowed, actually glowed, an unnatural, piercing gold. My breath caught in my throat. My feet refused to move. The wolf didn't run, didn't flinch. It just stood there, blocking my way, watching me with an intelligence that made my skin crawl. And deep inside me, Something whispered that this was no ordinary animal. This was a warning. Or a threat. Maybe both. The wolf's eyes glow like molten gold in the darkness, unblinking, fixed on me. My breath stops in my chest. My boots sink slightly into the damp earth as I try to back up, but the path behind me is narrow, winding. My heart is pounding so loud I swear it'll give me away. The creature takes a slow, deliberate step forward. Its shoulders are massive, higher than my waist, fur rippling like black smoke in the moonlight. This isn't a regular wolf. This thing is wrong, too big, too silent, too aware. My hand fumbles for anything to defend myself. A rock, a branch, something. But there's nothing but cold air and my own trembling fingers. Then, a voice cuts through the night like a blade.
Enough.
Deep, commanding, familiar. The wolf halts mid-step, head snapping toward the sound. My eyes jerk in the same direction, and there he is, Darius Vale, emerging from the darkness like the forest itself just spit him out. He's not running, not even breathing hard. He just appears, all in black, the moonlight catching on the sharp lines of his face and the gold flicker in his eyes. The wolf's massive chest heaves, and a low growl builds in its throat. The sound vibrates through my bones. Darius doesn't flinch. He doesn't even look at me. His gaze is locked on the beast like he's staring down a disobedient soldier.
Go.
He says, just one word. And like some unseen leash snaps tight, the wolf's entire body jerks. It lets out a sound somewhere between a whine and a snarl, then backs up slowly, step by reluctant step, before melting into the trees without a single twig snapping. Gone. My mouth is dry. My knees are threatening to give out. What? My voice breaks. I swallow hard and try again, my words spilling out fast. What the hell was that? Darius finally turns his head toward me. Even in the shadows, his presence slams into me like a physical force.
You shouldn't have been out here.
He says, voice low, sharp. No kidding, I snap, clutching my chest like I can physically hold my racing heart still. That thing wasn't a normal wolf. You saw it, right? It was.
It was dangerous.
He cuts in, stepping closer. I take a reflexive step back, even though my body screams at me not to. His nearness does weird, confusing things to my brain.
Aria.
He says my name like a warning, like an oath.
The woods aren't safe, not for you.
I blink at him, my panic mixing with a rush of anger. You think I don't know that now? Maybe you should have mentioned the whole giant murder wolf situation before I decided to take a nice evening stroll. His jaw tightens.
You should have stayed in the cabin.
Sorry, I shoot back, heat rising in my chest. Was I supposed to just hide in there forever? I don't even know what I'm up against because you won't tell me anything. For a heartbeat, he just stares at me. The night around us hums with the sound of crickets and distant wind, but between us, it's dead silent. Then he steps forward, closing the distance until I have to crane my neck to look up at him. His scent hits me, smoke and pine and something wild underneath, and my stomach does a stupid, traitorous flip.
There are men and creatures that would use you to hurt me, if they knew.
He trails off, eyes darkening.
If they knew who you were.
A chill runs down my spine. Who I am, I'm nobody.
You're you.
He says, almost harshly, like that explains everything.
And that's enough.
I shake my head, frustration clawing at my insides. Darius, I deserve answers. My uncle disappeared in these woods. People whispered your name, you have to know something. For the first time, his composure cracks, just a flicker, but I see it. His eyes flash with something raw and haunted before he shudders it away.
Go home.
He says, voice low.
Forget about him.
The words slam into me harder than the cold night air. I stumble back a step, my breath catching. Forget him, he was family. His gaze softens almost imperceptibly. For a heartbeat, I swear I see regret there, maybe even pain. But then he looks away.
This isn't your fight, Aria.
I didn't choose this fight. My voice cracks, too loud in the stillness. You think I wanted to be here, to be dragged into whatever the hell this is? He flinches, barely, then takes a slow breath and steps back. The space between us feels colder instantly.
Stay inside tonight.
He says, tone clip now controlled.
Lock the doors. Don't open them for anyone.
I want to scream at him, to demand more, to shake him until he spills every dark secret he's hiding. But before I can form the words, he turns and disappears into the trees, as silent as the wolf before him. The darkness swallows him whole. I stand there trembling, the forest pressing in around me. My breath fogs in the cold air, ragged and uneven. Finally, I force myself to move, stumbling back toward my cabin. My hands are shaking so badly I nearly drop the key as I unlock the door. Inside, the cabin smells like dust and old wood. The flickering lantern casts long, eerie shadows across the walls. I lean against the door, trying to calm my racing heart. That's when I see it. A symbol, painted in blood red across the wood just inches from my face. A sharp, twisting shape like a claw mark crossed with an X. It's fresh, wet. My breath hitches. My eyes dart around the room, but there's no one inside. Then, a voice whispers from the darkness, so close it feels like it's brushing against my ear.
Magnus knows you're here.
The lantern flickers violently, plunging the room into deeper shadow. I spin, back against the door, my pulse roaring like a war drum in my ears. Who's there? My voice cracks, loud and panicked. Silence. Only the creak of the old cabin settling and the distant howl of a wolf far, far too close. I press a trembling hand to my mouth, fighting back a scream as I realize I am not alone. And someone, or something, has marked me. My ragged reflection stares back at me from the cracked bathroom mirror, eyes bloodshot, hair a tangled mess, skin pale and clammy. I haven't slept, not a second. Every creak of the cabin, every distant howl, every flicker of shadow against the windows had my pulse slamming against my ribs all night. And that symbol. I shudder, glancing at the door where the blood-red mark was slashed across the wood just hours ago. It's gone now mostly. My knuckles are raw from scrubbing, but faint streaks remain like a ghostly scar. No matter how much I scrub, it won't completely disappear. It's almost like it doesn't want to. I grip the bucket tighter, teeth gritted, fighting a rush of frustrated tears. Screw this, I mutter, throwing the rag aside. The morning light is weak and gray, barely seeping through the mist that clings to the trees outside. It should feel safe now that it's day, but the forest feels like it's watching me, quiet and hungry. The sound of crunching gravel pulls my attention to the path. Someone's coming. I stiffen, scanning the window. The silhouette grows clearer, tall, broad-shouldered, moving with an easy confidence. Rowan. He looks almost too perfect in the early light, like he stepped out of a magazine spread, dark tousled hair, sharp grin, hands tucked casually into his jacket pockets. But that grin never reaches his eyes. I unlock the door reluctantly, standing in the doorway with my arms crossed. What do you want, Rowan?
Good morning to you too, sunshine.
He says smoothly, his tone just a touch too amused. His gaze flicks past me into the cabin.
You look like hell.
Gee, thanks, I deadpan, brushing hair out of my face. I didn't exactly get my beauty sleep last night, what with the giant nightmare wolf and... I stop myself. I don't want to sound crazy. Rowan tilts his head, studying me.
You saw something, didn't you?
Why do you care?
Because you're new here, and this town isn't exactly kind to outsiders.
He leans one shoulder against the doorframe, close enough that I catch the subtle scent of cedar and leather.
Darius should have told you that, but he never was good at protecting the people around him.
I narrow my eyes. What's that supposed to mean? Rowan gives a little shrug, all feigned nonchalance.
Just history. The guy has a way of destroying everything he touches, sometimes even the people he cares about.
My chest tightens at the implication. If you're trying to scare me.
I'm trying to warn you.
He says, cutting me off with a flash of seriousness so sharp it makes me falter. Then, just as quickly, his easy grin slides back into place.
But hey, you don't have to take my word for it. You'll see soon enough.
Before I can respond, he pushes off the doorframe and saunters back toward the trees, leaving me with 1,000 questions and a knot of unease in my gut. The day crawls by painfully slow. I try to distract myself by unpacking the last of my boxes, organizing old photos, anything to keep my hands busy. But as the sun dips lower, casting long shadows across the cabin floor, a subtle tension ripples through the air. The forest goes quiet. Too quiet. I step outside, hugging my arms against the sudden chill. The mist has thickened again, curling between the trees like pale fingers. And then I see him. A figure emerging from the haze down the path. Tall with an almost regal posture, dark coat flowing behind him like a cape. His hair is ink black, slicked back perfectly, and his smile, oh God, that smile, is warm and inviting in a way that feels wrong.
Aria Vale.
He says smoothly, like we're old friends. His voice is rich, velvety, with an accent I can't place.
At last we meet.
I freeze, every instinct screaming danger. Who are you? He stops a few feet away, bowing his head slightly, like a predator pretending to be polite.
Magnus Blackthorn, and you, my dear, are quite the topic of conversation these days.
The name hits me like a jolt. Magnus, the whisper in the dark last night, the warning. My pulse skyrockets. You were the one who.
Marked your door.
His smile widens, showing just a hint of teeth.
I can see Darius has been filling your head with stories about me, the big bad wolf.
He chuckles softly, shaking his head.
But you deserve to hear the truth from me.
My throat goes dry. And what truth is that?
That Darius Vale is not the hero he pretends to be.
Magnus's eyes glitter dangerously, though his tone remains calm, almost soothing.
He keeps secrets, ugly ones, secrets about this town, about the people in it, about you.
I take a shaky step back. You don't know me.
Oh, but I do.
He says, voice like velvet wrapping around a blade.
And I know about your uncle. I know everything about him.
My heart stops. My uncle. Magnus tilts his head sympathetically.
Missing, wasn't he? Vanished without a trace in these very woods.
I nod, barely able to breathe. Magnus leans closer, lowering his voice.
Darius was there the night he disappeared.
The words slam into me like a physical blow. You're lying, I whisper, even as my mind races with memories, half-answers, Darius's refusal to talk.
Am I?
Magnus's expression softens, almost pitying.
Has he given you any explanation, any proof of his innocence?
I open my mouth, but nothing comes out. And that's when the air changes. The temperature drops, sharp and sudden. The hairs on my arms rise. A growl rumbles low and dangerous through the mist. Magnus's smile doesn't falter.
Speak of the devil.
I spin around and there he is, Darius. He moves like a storm, silent and lethal, his golden eyes blazing with fury as they lock on Magnus. The two men face each other, and it feels like the entire forest holds its breath.
Magnus.
Darius says, voice low and cold.
Darius.
Magnus replies, like they're old acquaintances meeting at a dinner party, instead of enemies standing in the mist.
You didn't mention your guest.
She's none of your concern.
Darius growls, stepping between us. Magnus's gaze slides over Darius's shoulder to me, his smile infuriatingly calm.
Everything in this territory concerns me, especially when it smells like fear.
My breath catches. Darius's fists clench.
Leave now.
Magnus tuts softly.
So possessive, but tell me, Aria.
His voice is a caress, and a threat all at once.
Have you ever wondered why no one dares to question Darius? Why people vanish and no one speaks of it?
Enough.
Darius roars, the sound shaking me to my core. Magnus's smile never falters, but his eyes flash with cold malice.
We'll speak again soon, little Vale.
He promises, then turns and disappears into the mist as effortlessly as he appeared. The silence he leaves behind is suffocating. I'm trembling so hard I can barely stand. Darius, What the hell just happened? His jaw is set, his entire body coiled tight like a spring. Without a word, he grabs my wrist, not hard, but firm, and starts leading me back toward the cabin. Darius, talk to me. I yank against his grip, my voice cracking. He stops suddenly, spinning to face me. His golden eyes are wild, desperate.
Magnus won't stop.
He says, each word like a vow.
He's marked you now, and that means...
He swallows hard, his grip tightening slightly.
That means you are mine to protect now.
The forest around us seems to hold its breath again, the weight of his words sinking into my bones. Somewhere deep in the mist, a wolf howls, and this time it sounds like a challenge. The door slams behind us with a force that rattles the old wooden frame. My heart is thudding so loud I can barely hear anything else, but I force myself to breathe, to calm down. Darius finally releases my wrist and paces across the cabin like a caged predator, his movements sharp, restless, dangerous. His golden eyes still glow faintly in the dim light, like molten fire barely contained. I stand rooted to the spot, anger and fear twisting inside me until it bursts out all at once. Are you kidding me, Darius? My voice cracks, louder than I meant it to. Dragging me back here like some helpless damsel without even explaining what the hell is going on. He spins to face me, his jaw tight, his expression a storm.
You don't understand what you've gotten yourself into, Aria.
Not at all, I step toward him, my hands trembling. Because you won't tell me. You just give me these cryptic warnings, show up when you feel like it, order me around like I'm your property, and expect me to just obey. Like I'm some pawn in whatever screwed-up game you and Magnus are playing. The words hang heavy between us, too sharp, too honest. His chest rises and falls with ragged breaths. For a moment, I think he might explode, might unleash that same fury I saw when he faced Magnus. Instead, he exhales slowly, like he's forcing himself to stay in control. His voice drops, low and rough.
Aria, you are not a pawn.
Then treat me like more than a damn secret. My throat tightens, but I hold his gaze, refusing to back down. I came here to find answers about my uncle, about my family, about why this town feels like it's hiding something from me. And instead, all I get are riddles and half-truths. Something flickers in his eyes, pain, regret, maybe even guilt. He takes a step closer, slow, deliberate.
If I could protect you without saying a word, I would. But every answer I give you, every piece of truth I let slip, it puts you in more danger.
I swallow hard, my anger faltering against the raw vulnerability in his tone. Danger from Magnus, I whisper. His jaw clenches.
From everyone.
The room feels suddenly smaller, the air thick and charged. We're standing so close now I can see the faint scar along his jawline, the way a single lock of dark hair has fallen across his forehead. My pulse is racing for entirely different reasons now. Darius, my voice is barely a breath. Why do I feel like you're keeping me here, but also pushing me away at the same time? His eyes lock on mine, molten gold meeting unsteady blue.
I don't want to hurt you,
he says, voice rough with emotion. Before I can process that, before I can ask what it even means, he lifts a hand and brushes a stray strand of hair from my face. The touch is gentle, almost reverent. My breath catches. My body leans instinctively toward his, like gravity itself is pulling us together. For one heart-stopping moment, it feels inevitable. His lips inches from mine, his heat wrapping around me, my thoughts a dizzy, reckless blur. Then, a sharp, urgent knock pounds against the door. We both jolt back, the spell shattering. Darius snarls, clearly annoyed, before stalking to the door and yanking it open. Elias bursts in, his face pale, his usually calm eyes wide with barely contained panic.
Darius, you need to come, now.
What happened?
Darius's voice is all alpha command again, clipped and dangerous. Elias glances at me, then back to Darius.
Border Patrol found another body. It's bad. Real bad.
His throat bobs as he swallows. A chill slices down my spine. A body. Elias doesn't look at me.
Mauled. Same pattern as before.
Darius's entire frame goes rigid. His hand curls into a fist, so tight his knuckles turn white.
The curse.
He growls, so low I almost miss it. Elias nods grimly.
It's starting again.
What curse? I demand, my voice shaking. Darius, what are you talking about? But he doesn't answer me. He doesn't even look at me. Instead, he storms past Elias and out into the night, leaving the door hanging open and cold air rushing in. Darius, I shout, but he's already gone, swallowed by the darkness. Elias gives me a fleeting look, something like pity, before he follows his alpha into the trees. The silence that follows is suffocating. I sink onto the edge of the bed, my head in my hands, trying to piece together everything. The mark on my door, Magnus's lies, Darius's half-truths, and now a body. My uncle's face flashes in my mind, and my stomach twists. I can't stay inside. I need air. I need space to think. The night feels heavier than usual, like the air itself is watching me. My hand hovers over the doorknob as I step outside, desperate to breathe something other than the claustrophobic tension Darius left behind. My heart is still pounding from our argument, my body thrumming with unspoken questions and something darker I refuse to name. That's when I see him. A shadow leaning casually against a tree, just beyond the glow of the porch light. Rowan. He steps forward, slow and smooth, a smirk playing at his lips. His eyes glint with something dark and amused. His posture is lazy, but his presence is anything but. The faint smirk on his lips makes my stomach tighten. It's like he's been waiting for me.
Rough night, sunshine.
He drawls, voice low and mocking. My stomach drops, a cold weight settling in my gut. Because for the first time, I'm not sure if Rowan's here to comfort me or to ruin me. I didn't answer, just watched him. He said again, trying to talk with me.
Well.
He says smoothly, stepping forward, his voice carrying that lazy charm that always feels just a little too perfect.
Couldn't sleep.
I narrow my eyes. What are you doing here, Rowan?
Checking on you.
He says simply, placing a hand dramatically over his heart.
This place isn't safe, you know. There are things in these woods you really shouldn't face alone.
The way he says things makes my skin crawl. I cross my arms, trying to steady myself. Darius already gave me the whole, these woods are dangerous speech. I don't need another bodyguard. Rowan chuckles softly, but there's no real humor in it.
Darius, always swooping in to play the hero.
His head tilts, his gaze sharpening.
But heroes have a funny way of turning into villains when you get close enough.
My breath catches. What are you talking about? He steps closer, slow and deliberate, like a predator circling its prey.
You came here looking for answers, didn't you? About your uncle.
My throat tightens. You don't know anything about my uncle.
Don't I?
Rowan's eyes glimmer with something unreadable.
Black Ridge isn't a place where people just vanish, not without someone making them vanish.
The words hit like a physical blow. I take a shaky step back. You're implying
that Darius knows more than he's telling you.
Rowan cuts me off smoothly, his tone almost gentle.
I'm not implying, I'm saying it outright.
My heart pounds so hard it feels like it might crack my ribs. Darius wouldn't. Rowan lifts a brow.
Wouldn't what? Hurt someone to protect his precious territory, to protect his secrets.
I swallow hard, a bitter taste flooding my mouth. He's not like that. Rowan laughs, low and dark.
Aria, you've known him for what? A handful of days. Trust me, I've known him my entire life. Darius Vale destroys everything he touches. It's not his fault, exactly.
He pauses, a glimmer of fake sympathy in his voice.
But it's what he is, and you're just his newest obsession.
His words slice through me, leaving me raw and exposed. I want to defend Darius, to shout that Rowan is wrong, but a part of me hesitates. Darius has been secretive, withholding truths I desperately need. He's warned me to stay away, but won't explain why. He's protected me, but he's also kept me in the dark. My voice comes out barely above a whisper. If you're so concerned, why didn't you tell me any of this sooner? Rowan steps even closer, close enough that his breath mingles with mine. His smirk softens into something dangerously intimate.
Because I didn't want to scare you away. I care about you, Aria, more than you realize.
My chest tightens as he lifts a hand, brushing his fingers lightly along my cheek. For a split second, I'm frozen. Then, his lips are descending toward mine. No, I gasp, snapping back to myself. I shove him hard in the chest, stumbling backward in the process. Rowan, don't. His expression twists, the charm cracking like thin ice. A flash of anger, quick, sharp, cuts through his features before he smooths it over with that infuriating grin.
Why are you so stubborn?
He murmurs, tilting his head.
You think Darius will ever give you what you need? He'll chew you up and spit you out like he does everyone else. I'm the one you can trust.
Before I can respond, the night splits open with a sound so chilling it freezes my blood. A howl. Not just any howl, this one is wrong. Twisted. It rises and falls like a cackle, the sound almost laughing at us. Every hair on my body stands on end. Rowan's head snaps toward the tree line, and for just a fraction of a second, I swear I see it. His eyes flash an unnatural shade, a gleaming, inhuman glow. I blink and it's gone. When I look again, Rowan is just standing there, calm and collected, his smirk firmly back in place. What the hell was that? I whisper, my voice shaking. He doesn't answer. Instead, he steps closer, his smile growing sharper, hungrier.
You really shouldn't be out here alone, Aria.
Behind us, the laughter-like howl echoes again, closer this time, making my blood run cold. And suddenly, I'm not sure which of the two terrifies me more, the thing in the woods or Rowan himself. The laughter-like howl echoes through the forest again, so close it feels like it's slicing right through me. My knees nearly buckle, and I stumble back, my heart hammering against my ribs. Rowan, what is that? My voice cracks. But Rowan doesn't answer. His smirk has vanished, replaced by something harder, darker. His body goes rigid, every muscle tensed like a coiled spring. Then a voice, deep, commanding, and furious, cuts through the night.
Rowan.
Darius. Relief crashes over me so suddenly my eyes sting. I spin around just as he emerges from the tree line, moving like a storm made flesh. His dark coat flares behind him, and his molten gold eyes lock on Rowan with an intensity that makes the air between them feel electric. Rowan's lips curl into a mocking grin.
Speak of the devil.
Darius doesn't even glance at me. His entire focus is on Rowan, and his voice is a growl when he speaks.
I warned you to stay away from her.
Relax.
His tone deliberately casual.
We were just talking.
Darius takes a step forward, and the temperature seems to drop 10 degrees.
Talking? You were lying to her.
His gaze flicks briefly to me, a flash of something protective, almost desperate, before snapping back to Rowan.
And you know what happens to liars in my pack.
Rowan's smirk hardens.
Still throwing around threats like they mean something, Alpha.
He spits the title like it's poison.
Face it, Darius. You may have the title, but you've already lost control.
My breath catches. The tension between them suddenly sharpens into something I feel in my bones. This isn't just a fight between friends, if they were ever truly friends. This is about power. Rowan steps closer, shoulders squared.
You've been weak since she showed up.
His hand gestures toward me like I'm some kind of pawn, in a game I don't understand.
Everyone sees it, even Magnus sees it. And when he comes for you, when he tears down everything you've built, it'll be your fault.
Darius lunges. It happens so fast I barely have time to scream. 1 second they're glaring at each other, the next they're a whirlwind of fists and snarling curses. The sound of bone hitting flesh cracks through the night like gunshots. Stop it, I shout, rushing forward, only to freeze when Darius grabs Rowan by the throat and slams him against a tree. For just an instant, Darius's face shifts. His teeth look too sharp. His eyes blaze with that unnatural gold light I saw before. It's not human. None of this is. Rowan laughs, a low, guttural sound that makes my skin crawl.
Go on, Alpha. Show her what you really are.
Darius's grip tightens, and for a terrifying moment, I think he's going to crush Rowan's windpipe right there in front of me. But then his gaze flicks toward me, and something in his expression falters. With a guttural sound of frustration, he shoves Rowan away. Rowan staggers but doesn't fall. Instead, he straightens slowly, his smirk sliding back into place like a mask.
This isn't over.
Rowan says, voice low and dangerous. Then, with a mocking bow in my direction, he disappears into the shadows. I stand frozen, my breath ragged. My mind is a storm of questions, but before I can speak, Darius grabs my wrist.
Come with me.
His voice is rough, urgent.
Now.
I resist instinctively. Wait, Darius, what the hell is going on? Why were you too?
No time.
He snaps, tugging me toward the forest. His grip isn't cruel, but it's unyielding.
You wanted the truth. You're about to get it.
The trees blur as we run deeper and deeper into the woods. My boots slip on damp leaves, and branches whip at my arms, but Darius doesn't slow. The air grows colder, sharper, until every breath burns. Finally, the trees part, and we step into a clearing bathed in pale, eerie light. The moon hangs low and enormous above us, its glow tinged crimson, the blood moon. I freeze. Dozens of figures stand in a wide circle at the clearing's edge. At first, they look like people, tall, powerful, their skin glistening with sweat. But as the moonlight hits them, their forms ripple. Bones stretch. Limbs lengthen. Their faces twist into something other. Oh my God, I whisper, my stomach lurching. There.
Wolves.
Darius says quietly, his hand tightening around mine.
My pack.
I can't move. Can't breathe. It's like every nightmare I've ever had is standing right in front of me, watching. And then I see Rowan. He's standing near the edge of the circle, his smirk firmly in place. His body ripples unnaturally, like his skin is fighting to contain something wild beneath it. His gaze meets mine, and he mouths a single word, run. Before I can react, a figure steps forward from the opposite side of the circle. An old woman, cloaked in tattered black robes. Her eyes are cloudy white, but somehow they seem to see everything. The crowd goes silent as she lifts her arms toward the moon.
Marwyn.
Darius mutters under his breath. The witch's voice rises, clear and chilling.
The blood moon rises, and the curse awakens.
Her gaze sweeps the circle, then lands directly on me.
The key has arrived. The Alpha's heart will be his doom.
The words hang in the air like a death sentence. I stumble back, shaking my head. What does that mean? Darius's jaw clenches, his eyes burning with a mix of rage and fear. But I already know. My chest tightens as realization crashes over me, cold and merciless. The key, me. And if Marwyn's prophecy is true, I'm not just part of this nightmare. I'm the reason it could destroy Darius. The words echoed through the clearing like a tolling bell, ancient and final. The key has arrived. The Alpha's heart will be his doom. For a second, I didn't breathe. My mind tried to make sense of it, but all it gave me was static, panic crowding my chest, my pulse pounding so loud I couldn't hear the night sounds anymore. The pack shifted uneasily around us, their half-shifted forms twitching like shadows caught between worlds.
Aria.
Darius's hand clamped around my wrist, grounding me. His voice was low, rough, urgent.
We're leaving, now. You had heard more than you should.
I barely managed a nod, though my legs felt like they didn't belong to me. Of course not, I must know about myself, it is about me. She meant me, I whispered. The witch, she said I'm the key.
I know, but not here.
His tone left no room for argument.
We can't talk here. Move.
The pack parted as we passed, their glowing eyes watching me with a mixture of fear and reverence I didn't understand. Even Rowan stood stiffly at the edge of the circle, his jaw tight, his gaze flicking between me and Darius with something sharp and calculating beneath the surface.
Wait.
Rowan said, stepping forward.
Darius, what the hell did she said? That suddenly you are running my Alpha.
Darius growled low in his throat, and the sound made the hairs on my arms stand up.
Not now, Rowan. Get everyone back to the den. Secure the perimeter, do it.
Rowan's smirk returned, thin and dangerous.
Of course, Alpha.
He said, with just enough bite to make it sound like an insult. Before I could blink, Darius had pulled me into motion. We darted into the trees, running hard. Branches clawed at my coat, and the cold night air stung my lungs, but I didn't slow. Every few seconds, I risked a glance over my shoulder, half expecting to see Magnus himself chasing us through the darkness. "Darius," I gasped, stumbling over a root. What did she mean by the key? Why me?
Later.
He snapped, steadying me with one strong arm before dragging me forward again. His face was a storm of emotions, anger, fear, and something else that was harder to name.
Right now, the only thing that matters is getting you home before Magnus realizes what she said. I knew there is something special about you.
Magnus, even the name made my stomach churn. The deeper we ran into the forest, the more it felt alive around us. Shadows shifted in the corners of my vision, and the wind carried strange sounds, almost like whispers. My breath came in ragged bursts, my mind replaying the witch's words over and over. The key has arrived. The Alpha's heart will be his doom. Finally, the trees thinned, and the familiar outline of my grandmother's cabin appeared ahead. Relief surged through me so hard it almost dropped me to my knees. The old place looked small and fragile against the vast, monstrous woods, but right now, it was the only safe harbor I had. Darius slowed only once we reached the clearing. He didn't let go of my wrist until we reached the porch. His hand lingered, just a fraction longer than necessary, before he dropped it and scanned the shadows like he expected an attack at any moment.
Inside.
He ordered, his voice softer now but still carrying that iron edge.
I need to make sure you're safe.
I stumbled up the steps, my legs trembling from the run. When I reached the door, I hesitated, looking back at him. "Darius," my voice cracked. "That prophecy, she said it like it was inevitable." His expression hardened, a wall slamming down between us.
We'll talk.
He said.
But first, we lock this place down.
I opened my mouth to protest, but he was already pushing past me, sweeping the cabin with a predator's precision. His presence filled the small space, making it feel smaller, hotter. The door clicked shut behind us, and for the first time since that clearing, I let out the breath I'd been holding. No chanting, no howls, no Rowan lurking in the shadows, just the two of us and the ragged sound of our breathing. Darius doesn't move from where he's standing. His shoulders are tense, his chest rising and falling in sharp bursts. He's staring at the floor like he's battling something inside himself. I swallow hard, breaking the silence. "You gonna tell me what the hell that was back there? Or are we just gonna pretend none of it happened?" Darius didn't say anything. Then I asked. "No kidding," I snap, anger bubbling up now that the fear's fatting. "I saw, I heard, and here we are. So maybe start explaining why there's a witch declaring I'm some kind of key to doom or whatever." He takes a step toward me. My breath catches, but I don't back away. Not this time.
I will explain.
He says slowly, each word deliberate.
But you need to understand something first.
His gaze locks onto mine, intense and burning.
There are things about me, about this place, that are dangerous. Not just to you, Aria, to anyone who gets too close.
The way he says too close sends a shiver racing down my spine. "Dangerous how?" I demand. "You keep throwing warnings at me, Darius, but never actual answers." For a second, he looks like he's about to snap, either yell or punch a wall. But instead, he drags a hand through his dark hair and exhales hard.
Because if you knew the truth, you run, and I.
His voice catches, and he cuts himself off like the rest of that sentence is forbidden. That hesitation twists in my chest. "You what?" I push softer now. His jaw works, his fists clenching at his sides. Finally, he meets my eyes, and there's no hiding the raw emotion there.
I can't let anything happen to you.
The words hit me like a physical blow. Not because they're romantic, because they're so desperate. There's fear woven through them, a fear that makes my throat tighten. I try to laugh it off, but it comes out shaky. "Darius, you barely know me. We've met, what, a handful of times? You swoop in like some dark night, tell me to stay inside, then vanish again. Now you're acting like I'm..." My voice falters. Like I'm important to you.
You are.
I stare at him, stunned. You can't just say that. You can't just. I throw my hands up. What, did you fall in love with me in the past 48 hours? That's insane. His expression twists, pain flashing across his face.
It's not just love.
He says quickly, almost too quickly. Then he stops, like he realizes even he doesn't fully believe that. I cross my arms, heart pounding. Then what is it? For a long moment, he doesn't answer. The only sound is the wind rattling the windows. Finally, he steps closer, close enough that the heat from his body brushes against mine.
It's something I can't fight.
He admits, voice low.
Something that's been there since the moment I saw you step off that damn bus.
My breath catches. The room feels suddenly too small, too charged. And you hate that, I whisper, reading it in his eyes. His throat works as he swallows.
Yes, but for another reason.
The confession cracks something in me. Because beneath all his anger and control, I see it now, the vulnerability he's been hiding. The part of him that's terrified, not of me, but of himself. But I can't just let it go. Darius, if you care about me, even a little, then you owe me the truth. Why is this so dangerous? Why are you acting like just feeling something for me could kill me? His face darkens, and he turns away, fists clenching again.
I'll explain everything.
He says, his tone final.
But not tonight.
Why not tonight? I demand, frustration boiling over. He glances back at me, and for a heartbeat, I swear I see something like heartbreak in his eyes.
Because once I start, there's no turning back.
He sat across from me, knees almost touching. The distance felt both improper and right, like we'd been orbiting and finally landed in the same small gravity.
You need to know, I owe you that much.
I swallowed, my throat was dry. Oh, finally start talking. He inhaled, slow and heavy, like he was gathering pieces of himself.
This is the part I hate telling.
He said.
But you deserve to hear it from me, and not from Magnus, or from whispers.
He spoke like a man opening a wound, carefully, afraid of jostling the wrong thing.
The curse, the blood moon, began generations ago.
He said.
It isn't a rumor. It's a binding born of vengeance. Long before my grandfather's time, there was an alpha who crossed a line. People say he stole from powers that shouldn't be claimed. He broke a sacred promise. A witch, one of the old kind, placed a price on our bloodline.
He paused, and in the pause I could hear the crackle of the fire, the house breathing around us. He continued.
The price was simple and cruel. Any alpha of our line who ever truly loved another, person, human, werewolf, anyone, he would watch that person die beneath the blood moon. Not a random death. A taking that looks like the wild itself coming to collect a debt. Mauled, broken, torn, whatever the moon demands.
He looked at me, and for the first time since I met him, there was naked ache in his eyes.
It's not always immediate. Sometimes there are signs, dreams that the loved one sees, an ache in the bones, a marking. Other times it's sudden, but the pattern's been the same for every generation that carries it. The blood moon draws attention, like a magnet, to what the alpha holds closest.
My brain tried to stitch that into something sensible and failed. Why? How does it work? Darius's jaw worked.
I don't cause it in the way you think.
He reached for words like tools he had to be careful with.
The curse binds to the bloodline. It's a shadow on us. When an alpha opens himself to love, deep, honest love, the curse responds. It calls whatever the moon is to claim the loved one. The folklore says the witch bound the moon to our blood. Whether it's magic, old god vengeance, or something else, I can't say for sure.
You said there were markings, I whispered, like the symbol on my door. He nodded once.
Marks are a way of showing dominion. Magnus uses them to let you know you're being watched. Sometimes the curse marks those it will take. Sometimes it doesn't need the mark, only the moon's hunger. There's no consistency, and that's the worst.
He finally let his hands fall to his knees. exposed and human and terrible. You've lost people to it. The sentence came out softer than I meant. It was almost an accusation, but mostly it was a plea. I wanted him to be honest, to be broken with me. He closed his eyes.
Yes, I lost.
He stopped. The name sat on the tip of his tongue like something painful and too private to release.
People I loved. Those I claimed even in my heart and kept at arm's length because I was afraid. I tried to be careful. I tried to spare them. It never worked.
Why didn't you tell anyone about it? I asked, anger sharpening. Why make rules that everyone should live in fear and not tell the truth?
Because when the truth is known,
he said quietly,
people either run or they use it. Magnus spent years studying weaknesses, and he would weaponize the curse to break me. That's what this is. Magnus doesn't only want to topple me. He wants to break me and make me watch everything crumble. If news of the curse spread, it would be leverage. Families would be torn apart. People would be bargaining their children to other packs. I keep the boundaries because keeping the secret keeps people alive, most of the time.
Most of the time, I repeated. The words echoed like a bad joke. So there's no cure, I asked.
I won't lie and say there isn't hope.
He flinched at my words in a way that made them land differently.
There are stories, old rites, witches who promise salvation at a price. Blood bargains no sane man would utter. The witch that cursed us, if she can be found, maybe she can be forced to undo it. Maybe there was a loophole. Maybe the cure is worse than the disease. We don't know, I don't know. I've watched men try to break it and fail. I've watched lovers die. I don't want you to be another experiment on my list.
His voice cracked.
That's why I've been a coward, because I tried to spare everyone by keeping my distance.
The corner of my mouth twitched. That's your excuse, being a coward.
No.
He leaned forward until the space between our knees disappeared.
It's me trying to protect you in the only way I know how.
His breath ghosted over my face.
And failing.
There was a rawness now, a thread of confession that made my knees go weak. I could smell him, pine smoke, leather, something wild, and my whole body betrayed me. The barrier I'd built around myself these past months scraped and splintered. He reached out, thumb brushing the corner of my mouth like he was memorizing it.
I'm sorry.
He whispered.
For everything.
I didn't have time to answer. I only knew how everything felt, hot and too close and inevitable, and before either of us realized what we were doing, we leaned toward each other. His lips hovered over mine, warm and certain. For a second, the entire world condensed to that space between us. A breath, a heartbeat, a promise unmade. I wasn't ready for it, but my heart felt something for Darius. I leaned toward him, I don't know why, but I did. Then a sound split the night, an animal bark shout, a human cry, so raw and fierce it snapped me back like a line being jerked taut. Elia's, a single horrible scream tore through the dark. Darius snapped his head toward the door, his expression warping into pure alpha. He was moving before he finished the word.
Elia's.
The hair on my arms stood up. The hearth flame guttered, as if it too had heard the danger and leaned away. Darius was gone down the hall in 2 strides, boots slamming, and the room felt enormous and empty all at once. My heart pounded against my ribs as if it were trying to break free. I should have stayed put. I should have followed. I should have done something intelligent. Instead, I stood there, breathless, the taste of almost kiss cooling on my lips, and realized, cold and absolute, that the world I'd stepped into didn't wait for anything. Not for questions, not for explanations, not for the fragile thing that might have been between 2 broken people by a fire. The cabin felt too quiet after Darius left, like the walls themselves were holding their breath. I stood there, staring at the closed door, my heartbeat thudding loud in my ears. His words still rang in my head, looping over and over.
You are important to me.
I pressed my palms to my face and groaned. Important to him? That didn't make sense. We'd barely spent any real time together. A handful of conversations, a few tense encounters, and now suddenly he was, what? Falling for me. Or was he just really good at making me think he was? What if this was all a trap? Magnus had warned me about Darius, Rowan had hinted at dark secrets, and now there was a literal witch throwing out creepy prophecies about doom and hearts. Maybe this was all some elaborate game between powerful men, and I was just a pawn being moved across the board. But when Darius looked at me tonight, there'd been something raw in his eyes, something that didn't feel like a lie. I sank down on the edge of the bed, wrapping my arms around myself. "God, Aria," I muttered, "you've lost your damn mind." Because the truth was, as much as I doubted him, as much as I questioned everything, part of me wanted to believe him. Part of me was undeniably drawn to him. Not just because he was gorgeous, though, let's be real, he totally was, but because he represented something I'd secretly craved my entire life: adventure. Darius wasn't safe. He wasn't predictable. Being near him felt like stepping into a storm, dangerous, thrilling, alive. Maybe, just maybe, if he really did have feelings for me, this could be my chance to escape the small, ordinary life I'd always known, to live a story bigger than myself. But at what cost? Because loving a man like Darius came with shadows, teeth, and blood. I rubbed my arms, trying to shake off the chill creeping over me. Was it worth it? I glanced toward the door, my chest tightening with restless curiosity. He'd gone off alone, and I couldn't just sit here and do nothing. Not while danger prowled the woods. Not while questions gnawed at me like wolves at a carcass. Grabbing my coat, I whispered to the empty cabin, "Just a peek, then I'll come right back." But even as I said it, I knew I was lying to myself. My hand trembled slightly as I turned the knob. The night air rushed in, cold and sharp. Outside, another sound, someone else screaming, closer this time, turned my blood to ice. I stepped out into the darkness, my heart pounding with a cocktail of fear and determination. The scream cut through the night like a blade. I froze on the cabin's porch, my breath catching in my throat. It wasn't far, maybe 100 yards into the trees, sharp and raw, like an animal being ripped apart or a man. "Darius," I shouted, panic tightening my chest. No answer. My feet moved before my brain caught up, pounding across the damp grass toward the sound. The cold night air burned my lungs, twigs snapping under my boots. Another scream, weaker this time. My heart lurched. "God, no," I gasped, crashing through the tree line.
Aria.
Darius's voice, furious and terrified, came from somewhere ahead. Branches whipped at my arms as I stumbled toward him. Then I burst into a clearing and stopped. Elias lay sprawled in the dirt, blood pooling beneath him. So much blood. His chest rose and fell in ragged, uneven breaths, each one sounding like it might be his last. His eyes fluttered, unfocused, but when they landed on me, there was a flicker of recognition. "No," my knees buckled as I dropped beside him. "Elias, stay with me, please." Darius appeared seconds later, his face pale, wild, and murderous all at once. He shoved me back gently but firmly, taking Elia's shoulders.
"Elias, look at me. Who did this?"
There's a traitor.
His gaze darted between us, filled with fear.
Someone inside our pack.
My stomach plummeted. Inside. That meant it wasn't just some outside attack. It was one of them. Darius's jaw clenched, his hands curling into fists.
Tell me who Elias.
Elias groaned, his body arching like he was fighting to keep himself here.
Couldn't see. Shadow, but not Magnus.
Darius's head snapped up, confusion flashing across his features.
Not Magnus.
Elias' bloodshot eyes shifted to me for just a second, like he wanted me to hear this too.
Be careful, Aria.
He chalked out.
Not everyone is what they seem.
His chest stilled. "No," I screamed, pressing my hands to the wound like I could hold his life inside him, but there was nothing. No breath, no heartbeat. Darius sat back slowly, his face a mask of barely controlled rage. The clearing felt suddenly colder, emptier, like the forest itself had stopped breathing. Behind us, a branch cracked. Rowan emerged from the shadows, panting like he'd been running.
What the hell happened?
he demanded, eyes wide.
I heard screaming.
His gaze dropped to Elia's body, and his expression shifted to something like shock.
Oh God, Elias.
You are late.
Darius snapped, his voice sharp as a whip. He surged to his feet, towering over Rowan.
Where were you?
Roman's brows shot up.
Excuse me. You think I had something to do with this?
You're my beta.
Darius snarled, stepping closer.
You were supposed to be on the borders tonight, yet somehow you weren't there when my second-in-command was ambushed.
Rowan's jaw tightened, but instead of anger, his face melted into something smooth and calculated.
Maybe you should be asking yourself why this keeps happening under your rule, Alpha.
He said, the title laced with sarcasm.
Magnus has been one step ahead of us for weeks. If there's a traitor, maybe they're feeding you bad intel, setting us all up.
That's bullshit.
Darius growled.
Magnus would never.
Never what?
Ronan cut in smoothly.
Never manipulate us, never target people close to you.
He spread his hands, his tone silky, almost reasonable.
Face it, Darius. Magnus is smart. He wouldn't get his own hands dirty. He'd turn one of us against you, and frankly...
Rowan's gaze slid deliberately toward me.
He's already proven he knows your weaknesses.
My skin prickled. What are you talking about? Rowan gave me a soft, pitying look that didn't reach his eyes.
Magnus knows about you, Aria. Everyone does. You think Elias was the last one who will be targeted. You're basically wearing a sign on your forehead that says Darius's soft spot.
Darius's entire body tensed like he was seconds from tearing Rowan's throat out.
Enough.
He growled.
This isn't the time and place.
Oh, but it is.
Rowan pressed, stepping closer.
You keep secrets, Darius. You always have, and people keep dying because of it.
The air between them felt like a storm about to break, crackling with fury and unspoken history. I couldn't breathe, trapped between them. My voice came out shaky but firm. We need to focus on what Elias said. There's a traitor inside the pack. It could be anyone. Rowan turned to me, his expression softening instantly, too instantly.
You are right.
He said gently.
And we'll figure it out, but Aria, you have to be careful. I don't want you to end up like Elias.
His hand brushed mine, warm and lingering just a second too long. Darius yanked me back behind him, his snarl low and feral.
Don't touch her.
For a heartbeat, Rowan's mask slipped. His eyes flashed with something dark and possessive. Then it was gone, replaced by his usual easy smirk.
Relax, Alpha, just looking out for the newcomer.
Darius turned to the rest of the small group of pack members who had arrived, drawn by the noise and the scent of blood.
Take Elias' body back to the den.
He ordered, his voice cold and commanding.
Guard the borders. No one moves alone tonight.
As the others obeyed, Rowan crouched briefly beside Elias, his head bowed like he was paying his respects. But when he lifted his gaze, it found mine. And in that moment, when no one else was looking, his mouth curved into a tiny, cruel smirk. My blood ran cold. I didn't know what it meant, not fully, but deep down. A sick, heavy certainty bloomed in my chest. Elias' last words weren't just a warning. Someone inside had betrayed them. And Rowan had just confirmed, without saying a single word, exactly who it was. But honestly, I don't get it. Before I could even process it, a voice drifted through the trees behind me, low and smooth like honey laced with poison.
Aria Lane.
The voice called softly.
You shouldn't be here.
I spun around, heart hammering. Out from the shadows stepped Magnus Blackthorn. The moonlight caught the sharp angles of his face, his dark eyes glimmering with a predator's calm. He wore a perfectly tailored black coat, his movements too graceful to be human. The sheer presence of him sent a chill down my spine, different from Darius's commanding energy. Magnus's presence was unsettling, like a spider weaving a web around me. I instinctively stepped back. How do you know my name? Magnus's lips curled into a slow, practiced smile.
Oh, I know far more than your name. Your arrival here has stirred quite the storm, my dear.
His tone was soft, coaxing, but there was steel underneath.
I didn't mean to frighten you. I only wanted to speak privately.
Every instinct screamed danger, but something about the way he spoke, careful, persuasive, made my feet stay planted. Speak about what? My voice was steady, though my hands trembled slightly at my sides. He tilted his head, studying me like I was a puzzle he'd already solved.
About the man you think you can trust, about Darius Vale.
I asked, what about him? Magnus let out a low chuckle, stepping closer.
You've been given a very selective version of events, I'm afraid. I suspect Darius has been less than honest with you.
I crossed my arms tightly. You're his enemy. Why should I believe a single thing you say? He smiled wider, like that was exactly the reaction he wanted.
Because the truth doesn't care who speaks it.
His eyes glittered dangerously.
You came here looking for answers, didn't you, about your uncle?
The mention of my uncle hit me like a physical blow. My throat tightened, and I could barely whisper, "Do you know what happened to him?" Magnus's expression softened just slightly, almost pitying.
Yes, my dear, I know exactly what happened.
He sighed theatrically, like the memory pained him.
You uncle working for me.
The world tilted on its axis. What?
He was my eyes and ears inside Vale territory. A good man, loyal and brave. He risked everything to bring me information.
Magnus took another step closer, lowering his voice.
And Darius found out. Naturally, Darius didn't like having a spy in his midst. There was a confrontation.
No, I whispered, shaking my head. My chest ached. No, that's not possible, Darius told me. Magnus cut me off gently.
What exactly did he tell you? That your uncle simply vanished one night, that he searched, and oh, how tragic that he could never find him.
Magnus's tone turned sharp.
Doesn't that sound convenient, Aria?
Tears stung my eyes. I tried to breathe, but the air felt too thick. Darius wouldn't hurt my uncle. Magnus's gaze softened again, deceptively kind.
You're young and you want to believe the best in him, but think carefully. Has he ever truly answered your questions, or does he just silence you with half-truths?
Images flashed through my mind. Darius's brooding silences, his refusal to explain things fully, his tendency to deflect every time I pushed too hard. Magnus's voice dropped to a velvet whisper.
Your uncle confronted Darius that night, and he never came home again. Draw your own conclusions, my dear.
A tear slid down my cheek before I could stop it. My legs felt weak. I didn't want to believe him. I couldn't, but the pieces were falling into place far too easily. Of course, any alpha who see any outsider spy, then chances are high that he will destroy the spy. And if my uncle was spy, then it may have happened. Magnus reached out, almost tenderly, and wiped the tear away with his thumb. I flinched at his touch.
You deserve the truth, Aria. You deserve better than a man who hides in shadows and uses lies to keep you obedient.
I stumbled back, shaking my head. I need to go. He didn't stop me, just gave me a knowing smile.
Of course, run back to him if you must, but remember, I'm the only one brave enough to tell you what he's done.
I turned and bolted through the trees, my vision blurred by tears. His voice followed me, smooth and deadly.
One day you'll see me as your savior, and him as your captor.
I didn't stop running until my grandmother's cabin came into view. My breath was ragged, my heart breaking. I slammed the door shut behind me and collapsed against it, trembling. Darius destroyed my uncle. The thought hammered through my head like a war drum. Had everything Darius told me been a lie? His warnings about Magnus, the way he protected me, was it all just to cover up his own crimes? And worse, maybe he never even cared about me. Maybe he was just manipulating me, the way Magnus claimed. My chest heaved as I paced the room. No, I whispered to myself. He couldn't. But my voice sounded hollow, unconvincing. I jumped when the door burst open. Darius staggered inside, his black coat torn and spattered with blood. His eyes were wild, his breathing ragged.
Aria.
He rasped, locking the door behind him.
Magnus sent warriors to the border. We fought them back, but they'll return.
I froze, staring at him, my heart torn between fear, anger, and something dangerously close to hope. Because even now, even with blood on his hands and accusations swirling in my head, part of me still wanted to believe him. But deep down, I wasn't sure if he was here to protect me or to destroy me. His eyes burning with the wild ferocity of battle, but all I could see was my uncle's face, the memories Magnus had unearthed now clawing at my heart. The words tore out of me before I could stop them. "You lied to me." Darius froze mid-step, his muscles coiled tight.
Aria.
"No," my voice cracked like a whip. "Don't you dare say my name like that. You've been hiding things from me since the second we met, and now Magnus." I bit my lip hard, tears stinging my eyes. "He told me what happened to my uncle." Darius asked.
Who? Magnus.
I didn't reply. Darius's entire body went rigid. His jaw clenched so tight I thought it might shatter.
Magnus filled your head with poison.
I laughed bitterly, though it came out as a sob. Poison, or the truth, because unlike you, he actually told me something. He didn't just stand there brooding and giving me half answers. His hands curled into fists.
Tell me exactly what he said.
I stepped forward, trembling. That my uncle was working for him, that he was a spy inside your territory, and when you found out, you confronted him. And then he vanished. Gone, just like that. My voice broke as I choked out. Magnus said you destroyed him. The words hung between us like a blade. Darius's chest rose and fell sharply. He didn't deny it immediately. That silence gutted me. My nails dug into my palms. Oh my God, it's true.
No.
He barked so loudly it rattled the windows. He closed the space between us, towering over me, his voice raw with desperation.
I didn't kill him, Aria. I swear to you on my life I didn't, but his gaze faltered for the first time. I didn't tell you everything either.
I staggered back, my heart splintering. Of course you didn't. Why would you? Truth isn't really your thing, is it?
Aria, listen to me.
His tone shifted, softer now, pleading.
Your uncle didn't work for Magnus. Your uncle was like friend to me. He was older, obviously, but he was my friend because your grandmother loved me since I was child. She always told me stories at night when I couldn't sleep. Your grandmother knew me. We were close like real grandmother and grandchild. And your uncle by mistake went into Magnus territory and then he went disappearing. When your uncle disappeared, I went to Magnus myself. I begged him to return the man alive. Magnus laughed in my face. That night, I knew your uncle was either dead or turned into one of his creatures.
My stomach lurched, turned into a wolf. Darius gave a single, solemn nod. His voice cracked.
Magnus likes to keep his enemies alive, in the worst way possible.
I covered my mouth, bile rising in my throat. My mind spun. So what? You didn't kill him, but you let him die. You let him become that. His eyes blazed with anguish.
I tried, Aria. I fought for him, but I couldn't save him. And I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to carry that pain. I didn't want you to hate me for failing him.
Tears poured down my face, hot and relentless.
It's too late for that.
His voice broke as he reached for me.
Don't you see? Everything I've done has been to protect you. From Magnus, from my curse, from...
I slapped his hand away, shaking. Stop saying that. Stop pretending you care. Maybe Magnus is right. Maybe you've just been playing me this whole time. Darius's breath hitched, like I'd struck him with a blade instead of words. His face twisted, pain and rage mingling.
You think I could fake this?
His voice rose to a roar.
I've been in love with you since the moment you stepped into this cursed town. I tried to fight it. I swore to fight it. But every time I see you, every time you breathe my name,
He stopped, chest heaving, his hands trembling like barely leashed weapons.
I am yours, Aria, in ways I don't even understand.
I shook my head violently, sobbing. Not at all, no, this isn't love. It's a trap. It's all lies. You don't get to just say you love me and expect me to believe it. His eyes glistened, his voice rough as gravel.
Then let me prove it.
Before I could react, he grabbed my face gently but firmly, his lips crashing toward mine. For a split second, the world tilted, fire and longing colliding inside me. But then reality slammed back in. I shoved him hard in the chest. "Don't you dare," I spat, breathless. "You don't get to touch me like that, not when I don't even know who you are anymore." Darius stumbled back, pain flashing across his face, his hands falling helplessly to his sides.
"I'm not lying."
He rasped.
"Then I'll die for it. That's the curse, Aria. The woman an Alpha truly loves, she dies."
I asked what. He said,
"If I leave you, you will die in the full moon night, and if I will stay with you, I will die. There is no middle ground."
His voice broke on the last word, like he was tearing his own heart out.
"I would rather burn alive than let you suffer my curse."
I stared at him, stunned. My pulse thundered in my ears. Wow, a new lie. Another dramatic story to make me feel sorry for you. He opened his mouth to explain, but a blood-curdling shout erupted outside, slicing through the tense silence. We both jerked toward the sound. More voices followed, urgent and terrified. The cabin shook with pounding footsteps. The door burst open, and a pack member stumbled in, breathless and wild-eyed.
"Alpha, someone's been sneaking past the borders at night, towards Magnus territory."
Darius stiffened.
"What?"
The men nodded frantically.
"Someone saw him slipping out, hiding, meeting Magnus beyond our lands. We don't know who, but
His chest heaved as he delivered the final blow.
he's been feeding information to our enemies."
For a heartbeat, the room went utterly silent. I glanced between Darius and the trembling pack member, my blood running cold. And then, somewhere deep in the forest, a lone wolf howled, long and haunting, like the herald of a coming war. The cabin door was still hanging open, the warrior's words about that two-faced spy echoing like a curse in my head, when a scream split the night. Darius spun toward the sound, muscles coiled and ready to strike.
"What now?"
He growled, but before he could take a step, another scream rang out, closer this time. Then chaos erupted. Shouts filled the air, frantic and panicked. The ground trembled as dozens of feet pounded past the cabin. Women clutched crying children as they ran toward the shelters, while warriors rushed to meet an enemy I couldn't yet see. The smell hit me next, metallic, sharp blood. Darius's head snapped toward the tree line just as the first massive black wolf leapt from the shadows, its eyes glowing crimson in the pale moonlight. Magnus's wolves.
"Get inside and stay there."
Darius barked at me. His voice was raw, commanding, terrifyingly alpha. But before I could answer, more wolves burst from the forest like a living tide of shadows. Dozens of them, maybe more.
"Magnus and his army.
One warrior shouted over the chaos, his sword already dripping red.
We are under attack."
The night exploded into battle. Warriors collided, steel clashing against claw and fang. Wolves snarled and lunged, their massive forms weaving through the fray as men screamed in pain. Blood sprayed across the dirt, the smell so thick it made my stomach churn. Darius shifted mid-stride, his body blurring into a hulking black wolf before my very eyes. He roared, a deep, earth-shaking sound, and slammed into Magnus's warriors with unstoppable fury. Darius was unstoppable. I stumbled back, heart pounding so hard I could barely breathe. My mind screamed at me to run back inside, to hide. But my feet wouldn't move, not when people were dying around me. And then, through the chaos, I heard a familiar voice.
Aria.
I turned, relief surging through me when I saw Rowan running toward me. His face was streaked with dirt and blood, his hair wild. "Rowan," I gasped, clutching his arm as he reached me. "Thank God you're safe. Darius is there, he needs you go."
Forget Darius.
Rowan snarled, shaking me hard. His eyes burned with something I'd never seen before, something dark and unhinged.
I came for you.
My breath caught. "Rowan, what are you?"
You don't get it, do you?
His voice cracked, low and intense.
I've been in love with you since the first moment I saw you. Every second you spent with him was like being stabbed through the heart. But now...
His lips twisted into a smile that chilled me to my bones.
Now you'll finally see who really deserves you.
I stumbled back, horrified. Rowan, this isn't the time. People are dying, we have to. He cut me off by grabbing my wrist so tightly it hurt.
I am doing something. I'm saving you from him.
Confusion and dread tangled inside me. Rowan, you're scaring me. Let go. His face hardened.
I can't because you're mine, Aria. You've always been mine.
Before I could scream, he yanked me against his chest, his breath hot against my ear. And then his next words froze me solid.
Magnus promised me power in exchange for delivering you, and then Darius will break, and we will marry.
For a heartbeat, I couldn't even process what he'd said. Then the meaning slammed into me like a blow. You're working with him. My voice trembled. Rowan's smile was cruel now.
Don't look so shocked. Darius never deserved you. I've been playing the loyal friend, the concerned protector, while feeding Magnus every bit of information about Vale territory. And you've been the perfect bait.
Rage and terror surged through me. You traitor! You were the one sneaking out beyond the borders. He didn't even flinch.
Of course I was, and now you're coming with me.
No, I screamed, thrashing, but he was stronger than I ever imagined. Through the haze of battle, I saw Darius fighting his way toward us, his massive wolf form tearing through enemies with savage precision. Magnus's forces were falling back. Rowan dragged me backward, his arm locked around my throat like an iron band.
Stay back, Darius.
He shouted. Darius shifted back into human form mid-stride, blood dripping down his arms, his chest heaving. His eyes locked on me, wild, desperate, full of fire.
Rowan,
Darius growled, his voice like thunder.
release her. Now.
Rowan laughed, a harsh, broken sound.
Why would I do that? She's the key, remember? The one your precious witch prophesied. Magnus will make me Alpha.
You'll never live to see that day.
Darius lunged forward, tackling a massive wolf that leapt between them. Claws ripped into his side, but he didn't falter. Magnus appeared then, towering and monstrous, his presence sending a ripple of fear through the battlefield. His wolves circled, snarling, ready to strike. Darius charged at him with a roar, their clash shaking the earth itself. Steel met fang, power meeting power in a violent storm of fury. For a moment, it seemed like Darius might win. He forced Magnus back, driving a powerful bite deep into his shoulder. Magnus howled, staggering. But then Rowan's voice sliced through the chaos like a blade.
Stop right there. Alpha.
I gasped as Rowan yanked me fully in front of him, pressing a gleaming dagger to my throat. The cold metal kissed my skin, a sharp promise of death.
Darius.
Rowan sneered, his breath ragged.
One more step and she dies.
No.
Darius froze, his chest heaving, blood dripping from his wounds. Around us, the battle seemed to pause. Everyone stopped. Even people who weren't warriors also watched us, both sides waiting, watching. Rowan's eyes met mine for a brief, twisted moment, and for just a heartbeat, I saw something almost tender.
I do love you, Aria.
He said softly, almost sadly.
But not as much as I love what Magnus offers me.
Then his voice hardened, cruel and cold.
Choose Darius, save your precious pack, or save the girl you claim to love.
The world spun around me, my heart pounding so loudly I couldn't hear anything else. And for the first time, I saw true fear in Darius's eyes.
Don't do this.
Darius growled, his voice breaking under the weight of rage and desperation. His chest rose and fell with every strained breath, his body trembling from the battle wounds. The cold edge of Rowan's blade pressed deeper against my throat. I didn't dare move, didn't dare breathe. Rowan's grip was iron, unrelenting.
Make your choice, Alpha.
Rowan hissed, his lips curling into a vicious smirk.
Your pack, or your precious Aria.
Magnus stood a few feet away, blood seeping from the wound Darius had given him earlier. Darius's pack stood tense and ready, waiting for his command. I could feel Darius's gaze locked on me, his eyes wild with torment. I saw the exact moment he broke, when his resolve cracked and something raw and human came through.
His
voice cracked, hoarse and pained.
I choose Aria.
A collective gasp tore through his pack like a sharp wind.
No.
One warrior cried, his voice full of disbelief.
Alpha. Think of the pack.
Another shouted. But Darius didn't look at them. His eyes never left mine. But Darius was hurt. I can see it in his eyes. He loved his pack so much, maybe more than me, but he chose me over his own pack. Rowan's lips stretched into a smile of pure triumph.
Wise choice.
He mocked, tightening his grip on me.
With that declaration, your pack belongs to Magnus and me. Every inch of your land, every wolf, every last.
He never finished. Because suddenly, chaos erupted again, but this time not the way anyone expected. From the back ranks of Magnus's army, snarls turned into screams. A group of Magnus's warriors lunged, not at Darius's wolves, but at their own packmates. The battlefield exploded into confusion. Magnus whirled around, his face twisting in fury.
What are you doing?
He roared, his voice shaking the trees. But it was too late. The defectors ripped through Magnus's forces with savage speed, tearing down warriors from within. Their rebellion was so swift, so brutal, Magnus didn't even have time to process what was happening. Darius's pack stared, stunned, unsure whether to fight or watch. Even Rowan froze for a heartbeat, his smirk faltering. And in that heartbeat, everything changed. Out of nowhere, a single, ragged-looking werewolf stumbled into the space between Rowan and me. He looked frail, old, and weak compared to the others, his fur matted, his movements uneven as if he were on the brink of collapse. Rowan laughed coldly.
Pathetic. You think you can stop me?
But before Rowan could react, the weak werewolf lunged with a speed that didn't match his frail appearance. His teeth sank deep into Rowan's shoulder, right at the vulnerable point where his neck met his collarbone. Rowan screamed, a guttural, animalistic sound, as blood sprayed across the ground. He staggered back, dropping the blade from my throat. The weak werewolf roared, like he wanted me to run, his voice vibrating through the clearing like a command. I didn't hesitate. My legs moved on pure instinct. I sprinted toward Darius, my breath coming in ragged gasps, my vision blurring from tears and smoke. Freed from Rowan's grasp, Darius roared and charged at Magnus with unrelenting fury. Their clash was a violent blur of muscle and rage. Two wolves fighting like nothing mattered more than their self-respect, their dignity. This time, Darius didn't hold back. With a savage strike, he drove Magnus to his knees. Magnus's eyes went wide with shock and hatred just as Darius struck the final bite. The sound of the impact echoed through the forest like thunder. Magnus staggered, choking, his mouth opening as if to speak, but only blood spilled out. And then, the great Alpha Magnus collapsed into the dirt, his reign ending in silence. Around us, fighting faltered. Wolves froze mid-lunge. The battlefield held its breath. But Darius wasn't done. He turned, his black eyes burning like wildfire, and charged at Rowan. Rowan was not on his knees, but surely weakened from the bite and scrambling to rise. The ragged werewolf, the same one who'd saved me, lunged again, striking in perfect unison with Darius. Together, they took Rowan down. Darius's claws pinned him to the ground, and the weaker wolf's fangs sank into Rowan's chest. Rowan let out one final, strangled scream before going still, his body falling limp beneath them. Silence fell like a heavy blanket. One by one, warriors lowered their weapons, both sides too stunned to move. The battle was over. Magnus was dead. Rowan was defeated, and every wolf present knew who now ruled these lands. Darius. He stood tall amidst the carnage, blood streaking his face and chest, his breath ragged but unbroken. For a moment, no one dared to speak. Then his gaze shifted, not to his pack, not to the battlefield, but to the frail wolf beside him. The wolf was trembling, swaying on his feet. Darius dropped to his knees and wrapped his arms around him, holding him tight. His voice cracked when he spoke, raw emotion breaking through his usually unshakable tone.
I knew you were alive. My great-uncle.
He whispered fiercely. Uncle, I echoed, barely able to form the word. The ragged wolf's form shimmered and shifted, fur melting into skin. Before my eyes, he transformed into a man, battered, gaunt, and familiar. My breath caught. "Uncle," I choked out, my voice breaking. It was him, my uncle, the one everyone thought was gone. I ran to him and threw my arms around his fragile body, sobbing into his shoulder. He smelled of earth and blood and smoke, but he was real. He was here. "I thought you were dead," I cried. "I thought they—" He placed a trembling hand on my cheek, his eyes misted with pain and love.
Magnus didn't destroy me.
He rasped.
But he did worse.
"Worse, what do you mean?" Before he could answer, his body convulsed, blood spilling from a deep wound across his side. Rowan had made him even more weak by attacks. "No," I screamed, catching him as he collapsed into my lap. "Stay with me, please stay with me." Darius knelt beside us, his face twisted in grief. His hands hovered over the wound, helpless. My uncle's voice was a whisper now, fatting with every word.
"Aria, you have to be strong. Everything depends on you."
And then, with one last shuddering breath, his eyes closed. A broken sob tore from my throat. I clutched him tighter, rocking back and forth as tears blurred my vision. Beside me, Darius's own eyes shimmered with unshed tears, his usually unshakable alpha composure cracking in the face of this loss. The battlefield was silent now, every warrior watching as the blood moon sank lower in the sky, casting its final crimson light over the fallen. Magnus was gone, Rowan was dead, but the cost of victory had carved deep, unhealing wounds into us all. The blood moon was almost blinding now, its crimson glow drenching the forest like spilled wine. It hung heavy and full above us, humming with an unnatural energy that made my skin prickle. I stood there, still clutching my uncle's lifeless body, my tears soaking into his torn shirt. Around us, the battlefield lay silent. Broken weapons, fallen warriors, smears of blood on the earth, all of it frozen in a terrible stillness. Then, out of nowhere, Darius staggered. "Darius," I gasped, my head snapping toward him. He swayed, his tall frame trembling like a tree about to topple in a storm. His hand pressed to his chest, as though trying to keep something inside from breaking free. His breath came in harsh, ragged gasps. "Darius," I screamed, scrambling to my feet and rushing toward him. He tried to speak, his lips parting as if to say my name, but then his knees buckled. His body crashed to the ground with a heavy thud that seemed to shake the earth beneath us. "No," I dropped beside him, my hands frantically gripping his shoulders. His skin burned under my touch, fever-hot and clammy. His eyes, those dark, fierce eyes, were glazed with pain. "Stay with me," I begged, shaking him lightly. "Please, Darius, don't you dare leave me like this." The wolves around us erupted into chaos. Cries and shouts rose from his pack as they rushed closer. Warriors fell to their knees beside their alpha. Some howled in anguish, their voices echoing through the night. Others shouted his name over and over, desperate and terrified.
"Alpha, fight it. Stay with us, please. Don't let the moon take you."
It was only then that I truly saw it, how deeply loved Darius was. These wolves weren't just followers obeying a leader, they were family. Their pain was raw, real, and it shattered something inside me. I asked one of those warriors, "He betrayed you all while you still care." She replied,
"You don't know anything. He had protected us since years, and he had risked his life many times to save us. If he had chosen you then, there must be some reason behind it."
My vision blurred with tears as I turned back to him. "What's happening to you?" My voice cracked. "Tell me, Darius, please tell me." His hand shot up weakly, catching my wrist. Even now, his grip was strong enough to anchor me in place. His eyes locked on mine, dark and stormy, but beneath the pain there was a strange, haunting calm, like he'd been expecting this moment all along.
"Aria."
He coughed, blood flecking his lips.
"The curse, it's claiming me."
"No," I whispered, shaking my head. No. You said the curse was about love, but this isn't supposed to."
"It is."
He rasped, his chest rising and falling in shallow, uneven breaths.
"I told you pieces. but never the whole truth. I couldn't, not until now.
I clutched his hand tighter. Then tell me now. Tell me everything before it's too late. He swallowed hard, his face twisting with agony as he forced the words out.
When an alpha finds the one his heart truly claims, under the full blood moon,
He paused, his body trembling violently.
he's given a choice.
I leaned closer, barely breathing.
If I claim you,
He continued.
if I protect you, then you live, but the curse turns on me. My life for yours, and if I didn't choose you, then I live, but you die.
My breath caught, my entire body went cold. No, I shook my head in denial, tears spilling down my cheeks. No, you're lying, you have to be lying. His thumb brushed weakly against my skin, as if even now he was trying to comfort me.
I never lie to you, Aria. Not about this.
I couldn't think, I couldn't breathe. The world tilted, the blood moon overhead spinning in my vision. So you're saying, the only reason I'm still alive right now is because you chose me. His gaze locked with mine, steady and unwavering despite the pain etched across his face.
Yes.
The single word shattered me. My mind reeled back to every moment, every cryptic warning he'd given me. The night he told me to stay out of the woods, the way he'd tried to push me away. The near kisses, the way his hands would linger on my arms before he forced himself to pull back. He'd been fighting it all this time, fighting me, not because he didn't care, but because he cared too much. The truth hit me like a blade to the chest. Oh my God, I sobbed, clutching him tighter. You weren't lying, you weren't playing games, my voice broke completely. You really do love me. His lips curved in the faintest, weakest smile, his eyes glassy with unshed tears.
Since the first moment I saw you.
He whispered.
But I never wanted this fate for you. For us.
I shook my head violently, my tears falling onto his face like rain. No, you can't do this. The high ray has to be another way. If you die, Darius, what happens to your pack, to me? His breath hitched, a sound halfway between a laugh and a sob.
If I let you go, if I don't claim you, then the curse takes you instead, as I already said.
The world went silent. I could hear nothing but the ragged thundering of my own heartbeat. You're telling me, I choked out, my voice trembling. Either you die or I do. He nodded once, slow and agonized. My knees buckled, and I collapsed fully beside him, gripping his shirt as though I could physically hold him to this world. No, that's not fair, I screamed, my voice raw and broken. You saved me, Darius. You gave me hope when I had nothing left. I won't let you. But his hand came up, pressing softly to my cheek, silencing me. His touch was so gentle, so heartbreakingly tender, it undid me completely.
Aria,
he said softly, his voice barely a breath.
I told you I would always choose you.
And then, right before my eyes, his body arched in pain. The curse's magic surged like a dark storm, his veins glowing faintly crimson under his skin. His pack cried out around us, wolves howling their grief into the night, their voices blending into one aching chorus of loss and love. I cradled his head against my chest, sobbing so hard I could barely breathe. No, please don't leave me, I just found you. As the blood moon reached its peak, the man I loved, or actually falling in love, trembled in my arms, and for the first time, I truly understood the weight of his every word, the depth of his sacrifice. And the unbearable truth settled over me like ice. If Darius died tonight, it would be because he had always chosen me.
Alpha.
A warrior howled, his voice breaking.
Don't you dare. Give up.
But Darius's eyes fluttered shut.
Aria.
He rasped, so faint I had to lean down to hear him. No, I screamed so loudly it tore my throat raw. You don't get to say goodbye, not like this. I shook him, desperate, sobbing so hard I could barely breathe. My tears fell onto his face, mingling with the blood staining his lips. Then a voice broke through the chaos. An older woman, one of the pack elders, her voice rough with urgency.
There's one way,
she said, her hands clutching the folds of her torn cloak. My head snapped toward her. Tell me. Her eyes darted nervously toward the moon.
It's dangerous. Forbidden. You'd be summoning her.
I didn't care. My entire world was lying half dead in my arms. I don't give a damn who it is, I shouted. Just tell me what to do. The elder hesitated, trembling.
The Blood Witch.
She whispered, as though saying the name might summon the creature itself. The crowd recoiled, gasps rippling through them. People stepped back. My heart pounded. I'd heard whispers about her, a being older than the packs themselves, a monster clothed in magic and rage. Wolves feared her more than death.
You must speak the ancient vow.
The elder continued, her voice low and shaky.
But beware, girl. She always comes, and she always takes her price.
I didn't care about the price. The only thing I cared about was the man dying in my arms. What's the vow? I demanded. The woman recited it, her voice quivering. The words were guttural and strange, like they belonged to a language not meant for human tongues. I took a breath, my chest tight with terror and determination, and began to chant. The wind stirred immediately, sharp and cold, swirling around me like invisible claws. The blood moon pulsed overhead, its light flickering. Shadows stretched unnaturally long across the battlefield. The wolves backed away, whimpering. Even the bravest warriors lowered their heads, fear etched into every line of their bodies. I started chanting with that older woman. I kept chanting, louder and louder, my voice breaking as I screamed the final words into the night. For a heartbeat, there was silence. And then she came. The earth beneath me cracked open with a sickening snap. A black mist poured upward, thick and choking. The temperature plummeted so fast my breath frosted in the air. A figure emerged from the darkness, impossibly tall and skeletal, cloaked in tattered black that writhed like living shadows. Her hands were long, bony claws, and her face, her face, shifted constantly, flickering between beautiful and grotesque. One moment she was a woman with pale, flawless skin and eyes like pools of ink. The next she was a corpse, her jaw unhinged, black teeth gnashing. When she spoke, her voice was 100 whispers layered together, crawling into my bones.
Who dares call me? Beneath the blood moon.
I swallowed hard, my body shaking so violently I thought my knees would give out. Me, I managed to choke out. I'm Aria, I call you to save him. Her head snapped toward Darius, lying motionless in my arms. A low, amused hiss escaped her lips.
Oh.
She purred, dragging the sound out like a predator savoring its prey.
The Alpha who would defy his fate. I have seen many of his line fall. They all choose themselves. Power, glory.
Her head tilted sharply, unnatural and insect-like.
But this one...
She breathed, floating closer.
This one chooses death for love. How fascinating.
I clutched Darius tighter, shielding him from her cold, invasive presence. Please, I begged, tears streaking my face. Break the curse. Take whatever you want, just don't take him. The witch's black lips twisted into something resembling a smile.
There is a way,
she whispered.
But you must bind yourself to him completely. Heart, soul, and blood. If you falter, you both die.
I won't falter. My voice was steady now, even through my fear. Tell me what to do. She stretched out a clawed hand, and in the air between us, glowing red runes appeared, ancient and terrifying.
Speak the vow,
she commanded.
Seal your fates together.
I looked down at Darius, his face pale, his body trembling with the curse's grip. I love you, I whispered, my tears falling onto his cheek. I'm not letting you go. Then, with all the strength I had left, I spoke the ancient vow. The words tore from my throat like fire, and as I said them, I felt something in me shift, like my very soul was unraveling and reweaving around his. The witch threw back her head and laughed, the sound wild and chilling.
Magnificent. A mortal who dares love so fiercely.
Her eyes glowed red as she stared at me.
You have done what none of his ancestors dared.
I froze, my breath catching. Before I could speak, the witch's form began to dissolve into black mist.
Cherish this gift,
She whispered,
for love this pure always comes with a price.
and then she was gone. The world exploded in light. The blood moon shattered into silver beams, raining down like stars. A deafening crack echoed across the battlefield. Magnus's body jerked violently, then disintegrated into ash, his scream fading into nothingness. His warriors scattered, howling in terror, fleeing into the night. I turned back to Darius, terrified of what I'd see. For a moment, he was still. Then his chest rose, a strong, full breath. His eyes fluttered open, glowing with life and power.
Aria,
He whispered, his voice rich and steady. A sob burst from my throat as I threw myself into his arms. "You're alive," I cried, clutching him so tightly my fingers ached. "You're really alive." He held me just as fiercely, his lips brushing my hair.
because of you.
As dawn crept over the horizon, soft golden light spilling across the broken battlefield, I looked at him, my Alpha, my love, and felt something inside me settle into place. I wasn't an outsider anymore. I was part of this world. Part of him. For the first time, I felt what it truly meant to be loved, not with half measures or false promises, but with a devotion so fierce it defied death itself. And as Darius kissed me beneath the first rays of sunrise, I knew that no curse, no witch, no darkness could ever break us again. When the sun rose on the horizon, casting pale gold over the ruins of the battlefield, I knew my life had changed forever. Everything felt different, the world, the air, even the way my heart beat inside my chest. The war was over. Magnus was gone, Rowan defeated, the curse broken. But it wasn't just the end of a war. It was the end of who I used to be. In the days that followed, we buried the fallen and healed the wounded. Darius stood strong beside his pack, guiding them through the wreckage of what had been lost. I stayed by his side, helping where I could, though my heart was heavy. Because as much as I loved him, I couldn't stay here forever. My parents were waiting for me. They deserved to know I was safe. And I needed to see them, to feel their arms around me again, to remind myself that there was still a part of me untouched by blood and moonlight. When I told Darius I had to go home, his golden eyes softened with sadness. He didn't ask me to stay, though I could feel the weight of the words he didn't speak. He simply kissed me, long and lingering, and whispered that he would wait for me, no matter how far I went. Leaving him was one of the hardest things I'd ever done. The journey back to my parents' house felt surreal. Only weeks had passed, yet it felt like a lifetime. When I finally stood on the familiar porch of my childhood home, the scent of warm bread drifting from the kitchen, tears filled my eyes. The moment my parents saw me, they ran to me, enveloping me in a hug so fierce it stole my breath. They were crying, laughing, holding me like they'd never let go again. I told them everything. Every impossible, unbelievable thing about the pack, the curse, Magnus, Rowan, Darius. My words tumbled out in a storm of emotion, my voice cracking as I relived battles and heartbreak, love and loss. They listened quietly, wide-eyed and bewildered. And when I finally finished, they laughed softly, shaking their heads. Of course, they didn't believe me. Werewolves and witches were just stories to them, the stuff of campfire tales. But they humored me, smiling and nodding, happy just to have me home. I didn't care if they believed or not. I'd survived. I'd found love. That was enough. Later, as the evening shadows stretched across the yard, I picked up my phone and called Darius. My hands trembled as I waited for him to answer, and when I heard his voice, my heart ached with longing. I asked him to visit, to meet my parents. To my surprise, he didn't hesitate. The very next day, Darius arrived. Dressed sharply, his usual wildness hidden beneath a calm, composed exterior, he walked into my parents' living room like a man on a mission. And then, to my utter shock, he asked my parents for my hand in marriage. My mother cried. My father looked at Darius like he wasn't sure whether to hug him or punch him. But in the end, they said yes. The wedding was small, intimate, held in the little church at the edge of town. The same church where I'd gone as a child, never imagining I'd one day stand there wearing white, my heart pounding with joy. As I walked down the aisle, the sunlight streaming through stained glass, I caught sight of Darius waiting for me. Even surrounded by humans who knew nothing of his true nature, he radiated power and devotion. His eyes never left mine. We exchanged vows, and when Darius kissed me, it felt like the final seal on everything we'd fought for. My parents still didn't believe he was a werewolf alpha. Even after all I'd told them, they saw only a handsome, mysterious man who loved their daughter fiercely. And that was okay. Some truths didn't need to be spoken. Before we left, I promised my parents that no matter how far I went, I would return to visit every weekend. I meant it. They were my past, my roots. I couldn't leave them behind completely. As we drove back to Darius's den, our new home, I watched the familiar streets of my old life fade into the distance. Beside me, Darius reached for my hand. I laced my fingers through his, feeling the warmth of his touch, the steady beat of his pulse. The road ahead was uncertain. There would be challenges, battles yet to fight, but for the first time I wasn't afraid. Because I wasn't walking it alone. I had my pack. I had my family. And most of all, I had him. As the full moon rose in the distance, casting silver light over the forest, I leaned my head on Darius's shoulder and whispered the vow I had spoken the night I saved him. Not just a vow of magic, but of love, of forever. This was my world now, wild, dangerous, beautiful. And I was ready to claim it, side by side with the man who had defied death to love me.